Okay, so you're about to add, you're now getting into the real world, done with the first phase, done with second phase, or P3, getting into the real world, and it's normal to kind of freak out a little bit, because at this point, you're very confident with fats. Very confident with vegetable oils, meat, fats, saturated fats. You've done it all. You feel really much more confident with that.
Yep.
On top of that, your alcohol. You were able to drink during this time, and you've realized that your body's tolerance has changed too. So you've really learned during this time. But now we are about to add back starch and carbohydrates. And hormonally, it's a different game. You know, calorically right now, I mean, what we've proven essentially is you were eating, so let's talk calories. 500, less than 500 calories. Wouldn't you agree? By the end, you were eating a little bit more because you were hungrier.
No, because, you know, I never ate any of the crackers or the breads or anything.
So you really never got, you maybe got to 425,
Probably.
350,
Mm-hmm.
which is average. And then we pretty much, if you just add how much fat, 1 gram of fat has 9 calories, okay? So you probably tripled your caloric intake and you lost fat. So how does that work? You know, it's because this has nothing to do with calories. It has to do with hormonal balance. And based on my hypothesis, we kept your leptin levels at an ideal point basing on the science of hunger. If you listen to it, your leptin levels are going to stay on their peak.
Right.
They're not going to go over that U curve. Okay? Even though the caloric amount of the food you ate tripled or quadrupled.
Right.
And you still continue to lose fat, which I'm not shocked by. This to me is not shocking based on the science of what I wrote in Weight Loss Apocalypse. I explain this thoroughly, and you are not abnormal. I see this with all of my patients, for the most part,
Yeah.
who follow it, you know, as strict as they do the very low calorie protocol. You know, there's some gray with that hunger scale that if you sit in there, you'll maintain easily. But you obviously are keeping yourself pretty tight in that hunger. Like you're rationing your food. You are literally still rationing as if there's famine.
Sometimes more than others.
Well, and that's okay. That's what's so beautiful about this process is that, you know, like your period, you're not going to necessarily stay on that point. You're probably going to get a little more gray because your body's saying, hey, we need more of this hormone now. But now we're switching to a food substrate, glucose, okay, that is less than 50% calories than fat, but is more hormonally potent as a stimulator.
Right, which
So-
freaks me out a bit.
Well, and that's okay, and that's normal. And I'm not saying, hey, let's go eat all starch and sugar.
Right.
In fact, I'm saying be careful. You know, if you're going to have a starch, let's not start this with sugar, okay? Obviously, you're going to have your beer. I'm totally just listen to hunger. But no, recognize that you might want to drink it really slow because you may guzzle through it and you're going to start having some symptoms. Hot flashes, you might have a little ear. Oh, don't forget, you might have a little buzz from that. But start with, you know, vegetables that are a little starchier.
Like carrots and corn and stuff like that.
Before they're cooked. Raw carrot.
Yeah.
If you're going to do breads, just maybe do part bread. Don't do a full sandwich. Do an open face. And just sit there and breathe and listen. I mean, you are starting back over again with how does this food substrate influence your rhythms of hunger. You have no idea at this point.
Right.
So you're starting at square one, and you just have to learn it. And in 3 weeks from now, you're going to say, holy crap, I cannot even believe that I'm now eating rice, bread, bananas, corn, beans,
Right.
tortillas,
Right.
and things that are demonized, okay, because they are hormonally more powerful.
Right.
But you're eating them in a way that is so perfectly matching your body's rhythms that it doesn't cause the same reaction that people who say, well, if you eat sugar, you're going to binge on it. Well, that's not true either. I cannot wait for you to have your first piece of chocolate.
It will have
But you
peanut butter on
have, you have to do it to know it. And right now, you haven't done it yet. And so you just, again, we just gave you a new compass, or actually, let me rephrase that. We're using your original compass that you were built in with, and you have to keep your eye on north. Don't leave it. Even though everything around you is like, oh, this tastes so good. Oh, the cocaine center of the brain is active. Yes, it tastes good.
Right.
You have to be trusting that, you know what? If you eat excessively, don't be surprised if you gain. And that includes artificial sweeteners. Right. You don't know how many people binge on artificial sweeteners. And they're like, oh, the hunger scale didn't work for me because it's not caloric. Well, you didn't listen to hunger. You binged on a artificial sweetened thing of cream cheese. Hello? What do you expect is going to happen if you eat too much? So you just have to really stay focused for the next few weeks to learn it.
To figure out what it's going to do when it gets in there.
Yeah.
And how quickly it's going to affect you and how much it can, yeah.
But it certainly helps to feel confident that you're assessing your hunger. I mean, don't you feel like you're an expert at your own body at this point?
Yes.
This is just the one last place where you need the work, you need the practice.
Yeah, and like I've said, practice is what I look at every day as. It's a practice day to figure it out and learn it and get better at it every day.
Absolutely, and it changes every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing. You'd get lack of sleep one night, you're hungrier the next day. A little bit more stress based on something you're perceiving is hard to do. You may have a shift in hunger. I mean, don't forget the menstrual cycle. Don't forget, the moon cycle. Don't forget all these things that influence hunger rhythms. What you ate earlier, that changes hunger rhythms.
If you cleaned the whole house.
Activity level. What time was the activity level based on? I mean, it's so complex that it's almost not our intelligence. Our intelligence isn't capable. We're not smart enough. The human species brain is not smart enough to perfectly predict when your body needs food. End of story. So you might as well just listen to it and know it knows way more than you, and it knows way more than some stupid jackass who's trying to sell you a diet. And they're selling the same diet to every single person. The same exact caloric amount to every single person.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you need it more or less of that or not.
Anybody who's selling a caloric amount that is the same for everybody, run away. Anywho. All right. Thanks again.